People ask me all the time what trading software I use and what's the charting software that I use to show examples in all of these videos. So I figured I'd make a tutorial going through my favorite trading software, which is completely free, and I've used a lot of them, and this one is definitely the best. It's called TradingView, and you'll recognize it if you've watched any of our previous videos. It's completely browser-based, so you can access it from anywhere, and you don't have to download anything, and it's really light, fast, it's great. Technology has come a long way from even when I started doing this. I was using Telechart, and I'm not even that old. I'm kind of old, but not too old. But anyway, we're going to go over how to kind of set up charts just like you see here. And if you want to go deeper into how I use TradingView and charts all in my own investment strategy and how that works, then check out our free training. There's a link in this video and down below in the description and comments. And you can see right here in the preview, that's TradingView. So if you want that full strategy that myself and a bunch of our fallible members use, definitely check out that training. That's free too. Okay, so let me show you how to get set up like me right here. And you can see there's not much on this chart. It's pretty clean, and that's how I like it. And that's the thing you got to realize about technical analysis. When we go into TradingView, you're going to see so much stuff. I'm not going to go over all of it. I'm just going to go over the basics, but there's a lot of shiny objects everywhere. They give you a ton of tools, which is good. You want to have the freedom to use what you want to use as far as indicators and all that stuff goes. But remember, in your trading process, you want to make it as simple as possible. Less is more, just like Charmin Ultra and those dancing bears who are always wiping their asses and getting so much joy out of it too. But the slogan is great, less is more, because one of the big things that every new trader falls for, including myself, is getting like real excited with all these indicators and all this stuff that you could put on your chart. And the last thing you want is your chart looking like this, because what is this? You can't read this. This is not useful. This looks like someone threw up in a charting platform, and this is what we got. So just remember, there's no holy grail indicator. There's not 10 indicators that you could magically put together to get the best results. You're better off just keeping it simple. The markets are complex enough without you making it more complicated. So don't fall for that trap. So first thing you're gonna do is go to TradingView. Easiest way is just type it in Google, obviously. And first result, TradingView. Click on that, and you'll see here that they'll take you to their homepage, which is not the chart yet. You gotta click this button, Launch Chart. Do that, and now you get to something more familiar. Now again, there's a ton of stuff you could do in TradingView, but I'm just gonna show you what I use and how I simplify. So first thing I do to simplify is just get rid of a lot of stuff that's popping up everywhere. It stresses me out. So if you right click on most things, there'll be another menu where you can play around with it. So this buy sell thing, I get rid of that. Hide buy sell panel. Next, some people like these lines. You see this grid here on the chart. Me personally, I don't like it. And that's the awesome thing about TradingView is that you could customize it however you want. So for me, you know, like I said, I don't want them. So I'm gonna right click on the chart itself and go to settings. And you'll see all these different things for chart settings. I'm gonna go to appearance because I only care about appearances. I judge every book by its cover. And you can see right here, the vertical and horizontal grid lines. These things right here, I just want them gone. I want them invisible. So I'm gonna go from gray to white. See? Some of them just disappeared. And then gray to white on the horizontal as well. Click OK. Oh, and look at that, so beautiful, so clean. One more thing I like to do is add the company's name and ticker in the background. Is it necessary? Of course not, because you already know the name right here. It's Apple, and you see the symbol right up here. But with my OCD, I gotta do what I gotta do. So I'm gonna right click again, go back into settings, and check this out, watermark. I could click that, and you can see right here, this A popped up. And I don't like it too dark because it distracts from the candles, so I just lighten it up a bit. So you can go here and just slide this over, and look at that, just right, and click OK. And there you go. Now, next thing, these volume bars right here. You see how they're getting mashed up into the price bar? I don't really like that, but I do like looking at volume. So what I can do is right click on these volume bars and then go to move to and put a new pane below the actual price chart. So I could just click that and bam, now they are separated so that this candle doesn't get lost in the volume. And then here, you know, you could adjust the panes however you want. Like I make this a little smaller because I don't want to look at it that much. Now things are looking good. So next thing, volume. What I want is a moving average on this volume. So what I can do to add that volume moving average is go right here and just hover over this volume 20 and click this little gear right here. And you'll get this, the volume, the inputs. So right here, it already has its moving average, the length of 20 days or 20 periods, but it's not showing up. So I just got to go into style and click this on, volume moving average, the MA. Then I get to select a color. I'm going to select blue because it's the best. And then I get to select the thickness. Now your preference and how thick you like something is really up to you. Me personally, I like it extra thick, just real thick. This thick, oh yeah, I do like it like that. You can see the change right there, real thick. But you know, just to keep it PG, I'll go one level down. Because yeah, if the line is too thick, then you're not really sure when the volume bars are crossing it. So there we go, hit OK, we're all good. So now I could see when volume is moving above average. And this is kind of hard to see, right? So if you want to zoom in, all you do is just use your little mouse wheel and scroll in. Now, normally if you scroll in just using the mouse wheel, it's going to take you to the latest period. So it took me to the new stuff. But you know, if I want to scroll in back here, then just move your mouse over here, hold down control and then scroll. And you see how it stays right there. And now that I have this moving average, I could see when a certain move, you know, the price action move coincides with more volume. And volume is just one indicator. You know, some people use it, some don't. I personally do. And it just shows you how powerful a move is. So you can see these two price action moves, right? But to get more data on how strong that move was, you want to see the volume too. So if I look at this date right here, the 2nd of March, Apple popped up. Now with this volume pane right here, I know that it popped up on above average volume because this green bar is way above this blue line. And the blue line, you know, right now it's a 20-day moving average, but you could change it to whatever you want. So again, if you just go back here, hover, click the gear button, go from style back to inputs, you could change this to say 50 if you want. Then just hit OK and you see that changed. It's more flat. It's really up to you and your preference and your trading strategy. And that's pretty much all I do for volume. Now here on the chart above, you can see that it automatically puts you into candlesticks. But if you go here, right here where you see the candles, you can choose whatever you want. You could choose bars, which, you know, you could barely see. This is why I don't use them. You could use hollow candles, which is okay. I don't personally use those either. I actually just stick with the normal candles. But you could have a line, you could do pretty much whatever you want. The reason I stick with candles is because it just gives you a lot of information on what happened with the price. So let me find a good candle here as an example. Check out this candle right here, this green one, April 14th. So you can see when you hover over it, you got your prices right up here, which keep changing as I move the mouse. It's annoying, but you can see it. So if I hover on the candle, it says that it opened at 280, went to a high of 288, low of 278, and then closed at 287. Now you could either read that every time or you could just look at the candle. So with this, I know it opened down here, 280, closed up here near 287 because this is a full candle, went as high as 289, or I guess 288 technically, because you could see that little wick at the top and then you also see a little wick at the bottom, meaning it went as low and below its close as down here, which is around 278. So see, you get all that information immediately. And over time, you know, you'll just know what certain moves mean because the prices don't matter as much as the psychology behind them. Like, what was the person thinking, or what were the people trading this thinking? So again, going back to this other example, we saw this big jump, like a big gap between these two candles, high volume, and a nice full-bodied bar. Full-bodied bar means it opened higher than it did yesterday, and throughout the day it got bought up. So by the end of the day, it was up here. So that's a really bullish sign, and that's the type of information that you could get from candles. That's why I keep it in this form. You're not going to get that if you switch to lines. Like, what does this mean? And of course, you know what's missing from this chart, right? Moving averages, everybody's favorite. So you can go right here to this FX right here where it says indicators and strategies, click on that, and then you could pretty much just search. And this is where you get a lot of shiny objects. You could put tons and tons of indicators on your charts. But like I said, I like to keep it simple. Of course, you should explore what works for you, but remember always to be cutting instead of adding more. Over time, you want to move towards simplicity over complexity. So if I look right here, I want to add a moving average. So I could just type that in, click that, and exit out, and there you go. You see that little blue line? And it popped up right here. So again, just like we did with the volume, we could adjust this. So click right here in the settings. Input is a length of 9. I want to probably move that to 50 just because that's what I use. It's what most people use. See, it changed as soon as I hit enter. And style, okay, I like the blue. Well, you know what I want, right? This is a thin little line. I don't like thin lines. You know, I like them thick. Should we go extra thick? No, a little overpowers it a little bit. We'll go medium thick again. But thick is thick, you know, as long as it's thick, it's good. Hit OK, and there we go. Look, we got our first moving average. But I want one more. So I'm going to hit that FX button again, type in the moving average, hit that, and look at that. I got another one. Started at 9 yet again. So we're going to go to this little gear, hit that. Style, you know, for this one, I actually want gold. And then, of course, make it thick. Click out, go to inputs. Let's make this the 200-day. Let's type that in. Hit enter, there you go. Okay, and I just use the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average because that's what most people use. So it gives you some idea of what everyone else is looking at. Because remember, the markets are just a big psychological game. And moving averages kind of tell you where support and resistance levels are. Okay, so eventually when you're using this thing, you're gonna get this pop up. And like I said, it's free, but they do like you to sign up and give you their email. Once you're actually logged in, you get a few more features. And then if you pay for the paid version, you get even more features. You know, standard software stuff. So let me just move back back to my paid version so I could show you the rest of this. Okay, we're back to the paid one. So in my version, the colors are switched. The blue line is actually the 200-day moving average and the gold is the 50. But anyways, what I was saying is that you use these as support and resistance lines. So you can see here that price actually cut below this 200-day but rebounded. And you see, like right around here, you can see all these candles, right? It's fighting around this area. So there you go. That's your support resistance line. In this case, it did act as a support, even though it kind of broke through. It came back and then headed higher. And you can see the same thing happen at the 50-day. See right here, all this little fighting around the line. This happens not only because these are natural support and resistance levels, but also everyone's watching these lines, so they become even stronger. There's no magic here, it's just psychology. Now again, just like with volume, you could change this to really whatever you want. You can use a 300-day and a 10-day, it's whatever you want to do. It all depends on your strategy. But there's a few more things I want to show you in TradingView. So right now, the chart that we're looking at is a daily chart, but it is always very helpful to see things on different time frames. So I could go up here and you can see I have them listed right here, 30-minute, 1 hour, daily, weekly, and monthly. I personally don't use anything shorter than daily, and then I do go into weekly and once in a while in monthly. So let me show you how it looks. So going from daily to weekly, see, it kind of gives you a zoomed out perspective. There's less bars because each bar accounts for 1 week. So if I look at one of these, the bottom right here is where the thing opened in the beginning of the week, and the top is where it closed at the end of the week, and then all the action in between. Always important to look at different time frames, because if something breaks out on the daily time frame, it might be good to look at whether it broke out on the weekly time frame, because if it closes on the weekly and you see a weekly bar breakout, that's going to be a stronger signal than the daily. The further out you go in time frame, the stronger the signal. And it goes the other way too. If I'm going to go look at 30-minute bars, let's see that. This is more like day trading. If you see a breakout here, it's probably not as likely to hold than if I was in the monthly. So this is the same thing. At the beginning of the month, it started here. By the end of the month, it closed here. It's much slower moving, so there's a lot less noise. That's why this is so handy to have these different time frames. Let's go back to daily for now though. Another cool thing you can do, if you hold down shift and then click with your mouse, this little thing will pop up and it'll kind of give you a quick percentage calculation, and you just drag it to wherever you want. So if like I'm measuring where Apple went from the bottom to where it is right now, it'll give you an estimate. It's almost 47%. And if I click again, it'll hold there. So I could move around and I could zoom in, zoom out, it'll stick there. But then if I click one more time, it'll disappear. So that's just a quick tool. If you want a more permanent thing, you could go to this column right here, which is all these different tools to write whatever you want. This one in particular gives you a lot of different options to check how a position is doing. So I usually use price range right here. So if I click on price range, then I could do this same thing and see it's around 47%, click, and then it holds there. Like if I click off, nothing's gonna happen. It's just gonna stay there on the chart. And the chart kind of saves all your annotations, so it's really nice. So if I go to another stock, or in this case a future, because actually that's another great thing about TradingView, it's not just stocks, you could look at everything. Futures, as in commodities, foreign stocks, everything's on here. So I went here, let me go back to Apple, and you can see my annotation is still there. And there's a ton of different drawing tools that you could use. Like another one I use is right here at the top, trend line. Click that and you could just draw whatever you want. So you could draw trend lines. I usually just use horizontal trend lines, but there's a bunch of different stuff you could do, like so many options, which is once again why I say keep it simple. And then to delete things, you just click on it and then hit delete, disappears. So click on this and delete, it's gone. So here's an example where I marked up a lot. You could put words on here and they stay. So you could kind of have notes while you continue to trade, so you could track your process. Now this specific example is the one that I actually go over in that training that I talked about, this one right here. And that's right there, like that's the picture. So again, if you want to see how I use it, check out that training. Link in this video and down below. Now another cool thing that I like about TradingView, and let me get off Tesla right here. Let's go back to Zoom. Actually not Zoom, I want to show you work. Slack. So check it out right here. TradingView shows you when there are events for the stock. So it says earnings was right here, and it tells you how they actually performed in earnings. And this is Slack. Now the reason why I like this is because you might see some crazy move like we just did in Slack, like it's down almost 13% right now. And you're like, what happened? Well, if you know that earnings came out, then you kind of have a hint. Oh, investors didn't like earnings. And that's exactly what happened here. And I like that because it really quickly tells me that investors hated whatever Slack did. And you have confirmation that this this is kind of an inflection point because a big fundamental piece of news came out, which is their earnings, and you saw price just drop, just plummet. So even without looking at their earnings and digging into the numbers, you know that expectations have not been met. And what drives stock prices? Investor psychology, right? What they want, their expectations, not the actual numbers themselves. So I know a ton of information just looking at these two things, the earnings plus the stock dropping like this. And if I was in this, then I would know that, hey, this might be a good time to get out because the sentiment seems to be changing around Slack. Investors are not happy. Last thing I want to show you real quick is alerts, which is really nice to have. So if you go over here to this right pane, you could go from watch list to alerts. And if I click right here, new alert, you can see, okay, it's on work, which is Slack. And I could put it at a certain value. Like, okay, if it crosses 33.23, then show a pop-up, send me an email, notify me on my app. You could do a bunch of different stuff. You could even put the message there that you'll get in your email. So let's just do whatever this is saying at 33.23, say create. So you can see it's set right here, this little red line. And I can move that too. Like look at me move that up. And then it tells you, oh, you want to edit that to 35.96? I'm going to say, okay. Now, once I set that, it's set, right? I could go to different charts and not worry about it. Now, when price crosses that limit, I'm going to get an email alerting me that, hey, the stock that I'm watching has made the move that I was looking for. And this cuts down on so much time because you don't have to look at the thing every day. You could put one alert up here, one alert down here, so you're just automatically cued when something happens. Now with the alerts, the last time I checked on the free version, you have a limit, but if you get the paid version, then it's like unlimited alerts. But it's a really nice feature. Like I said, this is like a full suite platform, depending on what level you pay for, but most of your needs will be met with their free version. And there you have it, a nice little introduction to TradingView. Definitely one of the most popular charting platforms out there. You could check it out, it's free. And don't forget, if you want to see how I use it in our strategy that myself and a lot of our Fallible members use, then check out our free training. There's a link in this video and down below in the description and comments. It's free, you'll learn a lot. And now you'll know what tool I'm using too. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel so I could see you in the next video. Stay fallible out there. Bye.